Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stories with Steph. So yesterday we read the story The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog, and we were looking for the character's problem and then how the character wound up coming up with his solution for his problem. So today we're going to delve a little bit deeper into characters, and for our objective today we are going to focus on character traits. Character traits are regarding a character in a story. It could be any character in the story. And we have outside traits as well as inside traits. Our outside traits are what the character looks like. So for example, this character that I drew, he has brown hair, blue eyes, a green shirt, blue pants, brown shoes. Those are his outside traits. Now the inside character traits are what we're going to find out in the story. What the character thinks during the story, what the character says, what the character does, and how the character feels throughout the story. And characters can even change their character traits as they go throughout the story. So today's story that we're going to read is called Amble, the Very Slow Ambulance. And we're going to take a look at our character Amble. What he looks like, what he thinks, what he says, what he does, how he feels. And this story is actually very special to me because it was given to me by a friend named Tanya. And it's special to Tanya because Tanya's mom actually wrote and created this story. So this story is by Gail T. Gale. Here we go with Amble, the Very Slow Ambulance. While we're reading, think about his character traits. Amble was a very slow ambulance. It wasn't because he was old. It wasn't because he was tired. It was not because he was lazy. He was very eager to do all of his duties. Amble was bright and shiny and brand new. Amble wasn't slow because his motor was too small. He had very large, strong motor muscles. He came with all the bells, lights, and whistles that any ambulance could ever want. Amble was so slow, all because of his special friend, 3-year-old Jeffrey. Mr. Jeffrey didn't like sirens. He was very frightened when he heard a siren and would grab both ears and scream loudly no matter where the siren sound came from. One day when Jeffrey was very upset and crying, Amble promised him that he would never use his siren when Jeffrey was close by. That was not a good promise for Amble to make because it would be very hard to keep. To make matters worse, Jeffrey lived just a few blocks down the street from the emergency vehicle's garage. Amble parked in a friendly emergency vehicle garage with a great big fire engine named Fred. So take a second and pause the video if you need to, but I want you to think about what character traits Amble has so far. Amble and Fred were garage mates with a strong, powerful black and white police car named Sarge. Every day, these special vehicles were cleaned and polished from top to bottom. Their big red lights were polished, their blue lights were polished, if they had any. Their gas tanks were kept full, their tires were checked every day by their friends. They were always ready in case someone got in trouble and needed their help. But no one ever called for Amble. He sat all alone day after day, night after night, while Fred and Sarge were out with their drivers. "Oh, what is the matter with me?" Amble cried as Chance, the ambulance driver, walked by. "I'll tell you what the matter is," said Chance. "You don't move fast enough to be an ambulance. If you would only let me turn your sirens on, cars would pull over and let us pass by, and then we could answer a call for help in a hurry. Why won't you let me turn your sirens on?" "I just can't," Amble retorted. "I have a little friend who lives nearby who doesn't like to hear a siren. It scares him. In fact, he cries at night when he hears one squealing. I don't want to make anyone cry." Chance was stern and said with a great, big, loud voice, If you are ever going to be a good ambulance, you are going to have to hurry up and down the streets. And if we are going to be a team, you must let me turn on your siren." Amble suddenly began to sob. He turned his windshield wipers on to wipe away his tears. EMT Chance was right. I guess I'll have to find another job because I just cannot frighten my little friend. He parked himself in a dark corner, hoping no one would see him, hoping the phone on the wall would never ring for him. Keep thinking about those character traits. How does Amble feel right now? What is he saying? What is he thinking? Find another job? What would I do? What could I do? I have been made especially to be an ambulance. I am painted red and white, and I have all the EMS signs on me, and I would have to take off all my bells and whistles. I am not brown. I couldn't work for a delivery company. I don't have enough seats to be a school bus, and I am not yellow. I am not the type to be a limo, even stretched out. What will I do? What can I do? So we can even see with these little think bubbles exactly what Amble is thinking. Finally, Amble went to sleep, but he was still tossing and turning in his tire treads. Suddenly, the phone did ring. Amble woke up, needing no jump start. He looked around the garage with his sleepy headlights on dim. No other ambulance was there. No other emergency vehicle was there. Fred and Sarge were gone on other calls. He suddenly realized that he would have to go on this run when he heard Chance talking to the dispatcher on the phone. Chance said, referring to Amble, "He will have to go. There is no one else." Chance grabbed his jump kit and hat. He quickly ran to Amble. "Come on, Amble. This time it is me and you have got to hurry. This is the time for teamwork." Amble started his motor. He turned his flashing red lights on and moved quickly out of the garage. "Maybe I can do this without the siren," he said to himself, knowing that was not going to happen. I've got to hurry, he said as he pulled out onto the busy street. "But nobody will let me through." He tried flashing his overhead wigwag lights and honking his horn, but nobody noticed, and the very slow ambulance was stuck in traffic. Suddenly, with a big feeling of courage, coached on by his team member Chance, he cried, "A little boy needs me. I have to turn my siren on." That's all right. The siren screamed to the traffic. Move over, the foghorn seemed to say. "Move to the right, let us pass by. Move to the right, Buster, and let us pass by." And guess what? Everyone heard the sirens and the foghorn, and they cleared the way for Amble and Chance to hurry by. At last, Amble was rolling fast like a real ambulance. Now let's stop and take a look at this picture. Let's make a prediction. We may know who this little boy is. Who do you predict this little boy is in the story? Let's find out. Getting closer to Jeffrey's house, he hoped that Jeffrey was fast asleep and had not heard the sirens. But all that hope was dashed quickly as he saw all the lights in Jeffrey's house were on. Wait, look! Jeffrey is not standing outside with his hands over his ears. That is Jeffrey in his mother's arms. His daddy is waving for us to come to their house. Jeffrey was not screaming or crying. He was struggling to breathe. Uh-oh. In no time at all, Chance was helping Jeffrey to breathe, and they were once again on their way to the hospital with red lights and sirens. Amble and Chance stayed at the hospital to make sure that everything was okay with Jeffrey. When they returned to the EMS garage, the whole crew was there. Horns were honking and sirens wailing. What a welcome home for Amble. The whole crew shouted excitedly to Amble, Thanks for being so brave, and thanks for finally joining the team. Soon everybody, as emergency people do, had to settle down in their beds. They had to always be on alert for a call. They all quietly settled down, hoping for no more interruptions to their night. Amble could hardly settle down, however, as he thought with pride and great satisfaction about his real run that had saved a life. He was now a team player. 2 days later, Amble was parked in the garage beside Sarge and Fred. They were all polished and ready to go. He heard a familiar voice calling his name. It was Jeffrey. Oh, Amble, thank you for saving my life. Thank you, and thank you. Right there in front of everybody, Jeffrey planted a big kiss on Amble's hood. Amble looked about the garage. Everybody was there calling him a hero. He was blushing with pride. His chest poked out until his radiator almost burst. Jeffrey climbed into Amble's driver's seat and asked, Will you turn your siren on for me again? I am not afraid anymore. Please, Amble, please. But Amble, whose name had now been changed to Scramble, said in a make-believe stern voice, Sorry, kid. Sirens are just for emergencies, and you have had yours. The end. So what I want you to do is tell somebody at home all about Amble. What he looks like, what he thought throughout the story, some things he said throughout the story, what he did, how he felt, and especially how he changed. Did you notice how in the beginning of the story, Amble had certain traits, and then at the end of the story, he had some different traits? Have you had a time where maybe you were scared of something and then you got really, really brave? Or maybe there was a time that you were afraid that you might scare somebody? So talk about those things at home. And until tomorrow, thanks guys.